Hi guys, my name's Tony Gray and I've decided to do a series of weekly lessons that cover a variety of different topics, from everything between groove building, odd time signatures, 2-5-1 riffs and licks, some technical fluency exercises, you name it. We're going to be covering it all in the next few weeks. I would really like your feedback and comments and suggestions. If you have any lessons that you want me to dive into, I'm totally up for any of your suggestions, because at the end of the day this is about a community helping each other grow, and I'm going to make documents and tracks available to download so you can also practice along with some of these ideas in your own creative way. I would love it if you would upload your videos so we can all learn from each other. I definitely want to be learning from you guys. I'm just putting some concepts out there and I'm just waiting for some feedback in return so we can keep doing this. So in week 1 we're going to be looking at some simple groove ideas. In week 2 we're going to be looking at a Hiromi bass line where I break down an odd time signature, and then we're just going to see how those go and just keep coming with the ideas and the lessons. So here's a demonstration for week number 1. I hope you enjoy. Again, be interactive. Let me know your feedback, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to see, what you don't want to see, and we'll just keep going from there. Okay, I hope you enjoy, and we'll see you after the demonstration. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is probably the most obvious one, and something you might feel you already have together, but it doesn't do any harm talking about it and just revisiting it, because as a bass player and as a musician, to understand the chord tones when you're playing against a chord is so important. Nothing spells out the harmony more so than the chord tones, and that's what the music is relying on, especially from the bass player and the other musicians, so they can kind of latch on to that sound and play against it. And if the bass player's all over the place, the music's going to be all over the place. So just take time, and one thing you can do when you're warming up is maybe have a sustained chord in the background, in this case a G minor 7, and just navigate all of the chord tones for that chord all over the instrument. Understand exactly where they are, which fingering patterns you can use to play them, but more importantly, learn how to connect with those chord tones with your ear. Really understand how each of those chord tones sound, and this is going to really help you out in your bass playing, to help you be the anchor, especially when you're doing all of these melodic fills all over the instrument. To be able to come back and ground the music with these roots and chord tones is really important. So for a G minor 7, we have a G, B flat, D, and F. So again, just learn them all over the instrument, just get really comfortable with them, get comfortable with how they sound. Now the next thing we're going to look at is the groove itself, because that is the point of this lesson, is to be able to take a simple groove and kind of move away from it and then fall back into it wherever you feel is appropriate to do so. So the groove itself was very simple. It was just a couple of notes. We're using 3 of the chord tones, and we're just using like this passing tone to one of the chord tones. So the groove is so what I'm doing is just a G. I'm not going to really break this down too much because it's fairly simple. So it's just G, 2/8 notes, and then on the third beat we're using this F, which is the chord tone, flat 7, and then the E to approach the F, and then we're ending with this B flat and its octave, which is the flattened third of the chord. So I'm now going to play along that groove with a drum track. It's slowed down, so I'm going to make these available for you, the slowed down one, so you can implement some of these ideas that I'm giving you, and also the up-tempo one I did in a demonstration. And a document as well is just going to go over some of these concepts we've looked at. So the groove, 3, 4. Just get that really solid. Just make sure you get that F on the third. So I'm now going to talk about how to kind of color in this groove, especially when you're doing fills. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the G minor pentatonic. You might already know this, but I'm going to give you some ideas of how you can implement this into your practicing in a more creative way. So first of all, understand where that basic pattern is. So starting on the E string, 1-4, A string 1-3, D string 1-3, G string, if you want to continue higher up that vertical pattern, is 1-3. Learn it across the fingerboard. And I have courses on all of these vertical fingering patterns. They're just very useful to understand because you can really draw from this information when you're doing fills. So you just want to become really comfortable being able to master where these different shapes are all over the instrument. So one way I might practice this, first you can kind of understand harmonically what's going on. So you've got the chord tones 1 and flat 3. Then you've got the C, which is like a 4th degree, but it's more of an approach either to the B flat or the D, which is the chord tone. So we're just really coloring in these chord tones at this point. Then we have like the F to the G, which is the flat 7 to the 1. So really it's just got that extra note in, which is kind of in between the 3rd and the 5th. So let's hear the groove. I'm just going to jam with the G minor pentatonic over this concept. I'm going to play the groove. I'm going to use that as my anchor, and I'm just going to kind of stray away from it, just experimenting with different colors and sounds from the pentatonic. 3, 4. you can hear that I was kind of taking some liberties and moving away, but because I understood the grounding of that bass line, where it was rhythmically, I could kind of play over the bar line, I could do my fills wherever I wanted to do, because that fundamental groove was always in the back of my mind, so I could just kind of slip back into it. So that was just basically using only the minor pentatonic. Now next we can look at the blues scale, which is just a variation of the pentatonic. So the fingering pattern based off the 3rd fret of the E string is 1, 4, and then 1, 2, 3. So we're just kind of approaching that 5th now with a chromatic note from the C to the D. And then D string 1, 3, and again we can continue on the G string 1, 3, 4, which ends on that flat 5. Now you can use also the chromatic between the 7th and the root, which is F, F sharp and G. Because in bass lines and music in general, it's all about that direction of the line, you know, that's the strength of what you're doing, is where you're going, not necessarily where you are. So let's again play with a groove and just see where that takes us. 1, 2, 3. Again, you can hear I took a lot of liberties there. I wouldn't necessarily be so busy, but just giving you ideas of how you can practice this stuff. Again, challenging yourself to play across the bar line, playing your fills anywhere on the instrument, just sticking with one concept, which there was the blues scale, and just kind of colouring in that groove, but always remaining focused and tight with the concept, the original concept. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is the Dorian scale. So this adds a couple more notes, adds a lot more colour to the sound. Okay, this is the 2nd mode of the major modes. So if we're thinking F major modes, this would be the 2nd one, G Dorian. And again, there are a lot of courses on this stuff in the Tony Gray Bass Academy, but we're just kind of going over this stuff fairly quickly for this lesson purpose. So the notes are G, A, which is the 2nd degree, B flat, chord tone, C, which is a passing note, D, chord tone, then this E, tension 13, and then F, which again is the chord tone. And you might notice in the groove that that E was kind of coming from the Dorian scale, but you could also think of it as an approach to chord tone, which we'll look at after this. So the fingering pattern from the same position on the 3rd fret of the E string, 1, 3, 4, A string 1, 4, and you might notice I didn't use my 3rd finger there, because what we're doing is we're just trying to stick to this 1 finger per fret rule, which really helps us develop a muscle memory, so it can help us feel our way around the instrument and avoid these big 5 fret stretches on one string. So just a simple little shift can kind of open up a whole new position for you. And again, we work on this stuff a lot in the academy, these vertical and linear fingering patterns that use a lot of these subtle shifts to navigate around the instrument. But anyway, for now, it's 1, 3, 4, E string, A string 1, 4, and you can see that it opens up on the D string 1, 2, 4, and if we continue on the G string 1, 2, 4. So just understanding that very simple little shift can really have an impact on your playing. Again, you would want to learn that starting from each degree of the scale vertically on the fingerboard. Okay, so let's play the groove and just see what comes out using the G Dorian scale to colour it in. 2, 3. Okay, now let's look finally at a couple of different approach to chord tone examples. I'm definitely using one of them in this demonstration, but another one is based on the actual groove itself, which is this E to F, which is you can think of it as part of the Dorian scale, but I'm kind of thinking of it as an approach to a chord tone, which has a really strong effect. So if we use that concept, a chromatic below to chord tone, let's see what we come up with if we just start to use some of those ideas. So you can hear there that it already opens up a whole new world for you. So the last thing we're going to look at, and I used this in the demonstration, was a scale degree above the chord tone. Now the scale that I'm using to draw these notes from is the Dorian scale. So again, get yourself familiar with that, and then just work out where these approach to chord tones are from a scale degree above. So to the root, the G, we have an A to G. To the third, we have a C to B flat. Then to the 5, we have an E to D. And then to the 7th, we have the G to F. So learn these all over the instrument and just try to incorporate them into your groove. 3, 4. Okay, so I hope that gives you some ideas that you can implement into your creative practice sessions. I'm going to make some tracks available for you to download along with some documents. I hope you enjoyed. Please send in your comments and let's keep doing this. You know, I want to see you guys play your ideas on the video because I want to learn too. And let me know how you get on, and we'll see you in week number 2 where we're going to look at an odd time signature based on a Hiromi tune that I used to play a lot.